Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary is here, and the show's lineup features some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Everyone wants to be where the comedy magic happens, but not everyone is welcome. Here are some people that are too much, not enough, or in one case, voted off Saturday Night Live. SNL opening monologues, they're hard. They're the host's chance to connect with the audience, and if it flops, it's usually an indicator of how the rest of the episode will go. But of all of them, there has never been a disaster quite like Martin Lawrence's. You might recognize him from movies like Bad Boys, which is fitting considering not only was he allegedly banned from SNL, it was also rumored that those working there weren't even allowed to say his name after. And the controversial monologue, the second half was cut off in future reruns and replaced with a title card explaining what happened because it was just that offensive. The title card said the speech was frank and lively and nearly cost us all our jobs. Is that true, or is that just some SNL humor? It's up to you. Lawrence later put the cut-off portion of his monologue in his comedy special You So Crazy if you want to see it. In addition to the monologue, Lawrence also improv'd during the scripted show, which would sometimes throw off the other actors. There was also rumors that Lorne Michaels just wasn't happy with some of those new lines that he threw in. Sinead O'Connor probably has the most famous SNL controversy in history, as the music artist offended not just the show, but also an entire religion when she clearly ripped up a photo of the then Pope on live TV. So it's been brought to attention that not everyone involved with the church is as nice as they should be, and this was a conversation in the 90s, but was met with more pushback than it is today, if that makes sense. Talking about it was not encouraged, and calling out the Pope was a big no-go, even though some truly awful things were happening behind closed doors. O'Connor had allegedly told the SNL people that she was going to make a statement with her performance by holding up a picture of a starving person at the end, so that was why the camera perfectly zoomed in. Only that camera wasn't capturing what it thought it was going to capture. It was capturing O'Connor ripping up a picture of the Pope into 3 pieces and throwing them at the camera. At the time, people ripped into the performer for her actions, but a lot of the public opinion has shifted in recent years, especially with the younger generation and all the scandals that have come up. Many people consider O'Connor to have been very brave for her actions, while others stand firm that she shouldn't have done it. Still, a major statement like that doesn't go unnoticed, and it seems the artist was not encouraged to return to SNL. But for the too much portion, one band was banned from the show after bringing a mosh pit into the studio and rocking out so much it caused thousands in property damage. At least that was the rumor for a few decades. The band was Fear. They are punk rock and proved it when they and their fans not only broke SNL, but also introduced many average Americans to slam dancing. It's when you dance by purposefully jumping and or slamming into the people near you. In the grainy videos of the performance, people are literally leaping from the stage. It's incredible. People working on the production at the time knew that this would happen, but didn't exactly know what slam dancing was because, well, no Google. Reports from the time say that the performance ended up getting cut short because the production was so worried about further damage and also maintaining their usual audience. The band wasn't actually a major player in the industry when they appeared, so what were they doing on SNL? It turns out original cast member John Belushi was a fan of theirs. He had left the show in 1979 but was requested to return for a quick cold open in 1981. He would only agree to come back if this band played, and I guess they just really wanted him. Due to the nature of the performance and also the fact that mid-chaos the segment cut away, there were also a lot of rumors out there about what happened. Decades later, those that were there that day cleared a lot of the air. It turns out there wasn't actually thousands in property damage, even though that sounds better than punk rock band rocks out and destroys absolutely nothing. The band acted professionally and were very nice. They just happened to cause a lot of chaos and frighten some audience members that were not expecting to hear punk rock. But hey, the performance took place on the most fitting night that it could, Halloween. Not a cast member, but a frequent guest performer, Andy Kaufman, got himself voted off the show. Kaufman was a little bit of everything kind of entertainer, and his bits were the kind of thing where you get it or you don't. Some people thought he was absolutely hilarious. Lorne Michaels clearly enjoyed his work considering how much he was on the show, but mixed reviews from audiences kept coming in, and it got to the point where executive producer Dick Ebersol asked audiences whether or not they should keep Kaufman around. They issued phone numbers to call with their votes, votes and got a surprisingly high turnout. Over 35,000 votes were placed, and unfortunately, the Dump Andy number got more calls and the show was forced to officially let the comedian go. It was clear that SNL cast members weren't hoping for that result. Many of them later said they wished things turned out differently, and even when the vote was started, the Dump Andy number was read faster, so it would be harder for viewers to get that one right when they called. A week after banishment, Kaufman purchased airtime to beg America to bring him back to SNL, but he never made it back to his comedy home. Actor Adrian Brody was allegedly banned from the show after adding his own little bit of improv to the broadcast. Improv on a scripted sketch show is already not encouraged / unwelcome, but when that improv can also be seen as culturally offensive, yeah, pack it up and go home. In 2003, Brody hosted the show with musical guest Sean Paul. Paul is a Jamaican musician, and so Brody's bright idea was to introduce Paul while he was wearing a dreadlocked wig and speaking in a Jamaican accent. 2 decades later, though, the context surrounding this bit have actually changed. Brody is back on top of Hollywood right now after a stellar performance in The Brutalist, and when you're on top of the world, all your past scandals resurface, so Brody was recently asked about this SNL moment. It was originally thought that Brody just did it himself, and it's true the bit was his idea, but apparently the show provided the costume. Brody clarified that he believed Lorne Michaels just didn't appreciate him embellishing the moment a bit, but they let him do it. Brody isn't sure if he's actually banned from SNL, but he doesn't think so. He hasn't been invited back, but he does have a big movie out right now, and he's winning some major awards, so who knows? Steven Seagal's ban came from a place of just not being funny, at least according to Tim Meadows, who said this in Live from New York. Meadows also claimed that Seagal was very critical of the creative teams, which isn't a good look for someone who's only on the show for like a week. Seagal also allegedly refused anything that made him look bad, and it got to a point where the cast considered going without a host that week. Lorne Michaels himself even addressed him as the biggest jerk that ever visited the show. When Nick Cage hosted, he joked that he might take that title, to which Michaels said, no, that would be Steven Seagal. For years, Chevy Chase was rumored to have been banned from the show. He was the only original cast member to have this happen to them. Chase is no stranger to controversy, from his sometimes insensitive jokes and remarks to being called out by old coworkers for bringing bad vibes or just being rude on set. Chase was the first of the SNL cast to leave the show. His departure was successful, and he went on to become a comedy legend, especially known for playing Clark Griswold in the successful National Lampoon's Vacation movies. Rumors from his SNL days say that Chase began fighting with other cast members behind the scenes and was generally unpleasant to work with. Some of these rumors have been denied now, but one Chevy Chase SNL moment sticks out. An alleged fist fight with Bill Murray backstage right before they were set to go live in 1978. Apparently, when Chase returned to host the show that week, he had an attitude and him and Murray were just not getting along, allegedly exchanging verbal blows throughout the week that eventually culminated in physical ones in the hallway right before the show was set to start. Things eventually smoothed over and Chase was able to get out for his opening monologue, but still a rough evening. All this talk about Chase being banned, and you must be wondering, well, why is he set to appear in the 50th special, or why he cameoed in the show so many times? Turns out, no one is actually ever banned from SNL. Show creator Lorne Michaels has since come out saying that the show has never actually banned anybody. I know, I'm sorry, false advertising. The reason is because the show keeps up with the world, and if something is trending, they're gonna work with it. But what do you think? Let us know, and if you want more, check out the rest of the channel. Thanks for watching. Bye!